Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Earlier in the week, I presented a video where friend of the channel, Leslie Roberts, discussed at great length and great detail about the horrific story of what happened to her mother in her final days. The falls, the maltreatment, really. But most worrying, of course, was the do not resuscitate order that was basically put onto her mother without permission. And this is, in and of itself, an absolute horrific issue. Now, Leslie, of course, has been working with the police during what's now called Operation Copa, where the police are looking at all the deaths within the care homes in Scotland over that lockdown period, and the treatments that were advised by Freeman. She signed off on these treatments, which were actually sort of end-of-life treatments. It's seeming like, I cannot say for sure, obviously, but it seems like, from what we are perceiving, that it was almost mass euthanasia of Scotland's elderly in care homes, deliberately signed off by the Shipman sisters, by Freeman, and of course Sturgeon herself. And that is why, of course, so much data, evidence, messages, both formal and informal, have had to be destroyed, hidden. You know, there's so much secrecy because so much stuff went on, undoubtedly went on. But whether we'll ever find out about it is another matter. A lot of it's shady. A lot of it would be perhaps jailable. Certainly the most awful events probably ever in Scottish history. Now, bad as that was, and boy, it was bad, it's getting a whole lot worse, if you believe that that's even possible, with the news reports today. Now, this is something I discussed with Leslie, but was sort of it was kind of told it was coming. Couldn't say, wasn't, but not my story to say. This is all Leslie's doing, and of course she's the one that must take all the credit for this. But there is, because of people who have contacted Leslie, she's been the conduit for them to get the story out. And of course I've just been the conduit to publicise what Leslie's doing. She's the real hero here. I'm just reporting on the facts. I'm not responsible for the excellent work that she does in any way. I'm not taking her glory, please understand. This is all her. However, she did let me know that this was coming, and now it's come out, and it's in today's Express. So do feel free to go online and have a look at the full details of this absolute horror story that is unfolding in real time. Because bad as though it is with the Shipman sisters, rather, with Freeman and Sturgeon doing what they've done to the elderly, it's now taken this worse step, because it looks like there was almost euthanizing not just the elderly, but the vulnerable, the infirm, those with Down syndrome. Now, does that remind you of any time in our recent past as a species? Say the 30s, say Germany, say putting people down, eradicating, let's not beat around the bush, murdering people who had genetic conditions such as Down syndrome, low IQ, things like that. This undoubtedly went on. And it now seems that history has possibly repeated itself. And you're getting these people who were running the SNP making decisions and effectively murdering people with Down syndrome. Not saying they have, but it's appearing that way. This article in the Telegraph, in the Express, goes very much into depth with it. I don't have the ability to do it here. You must read this for yourself. Leslie was contacted by people in the Down Syndrome Society and the community, really, who've come to her to say that these things were put in, DNRs were put on people who were deemed incapable of making the decision themselves. And instead of going to the families and getting family members to make these decisions, the hospitals, the doctors, the nurses, sometimes untrained people, managers even, were making these decisions to allow the vulnerable to die. And of course, using the medications that were put into the treatment book that were life-ending treatments. I can't think of another word for what these people are other than monsters. What they were doing is no different from what was happening in the concentration camps in the 30s in Germany. They're murdering people, I believe, in my opinion. Got to cover myself. Murdering vulnerable, murdering the weak, murdering those for whom they could not defend themselves. And for what? To save money? Because it was easier to kill them than it was to treat them? If this is where the SNP has gone, then the SNP truly are the inheritors of the Third Reich. And they are no less monstrous, and they need to be treated in the same way. There needs to be a modern Nuremberg trial. All these people, every single one, none of them can be exempt. None of them can claim ignorance. None of them are free. They are all dirty. Every hand dripping red, rendered in the blood of the innocent. They all need to be tried. And I think for one period in history, there needs to be the death penalty restored until these people have gone, and then you can ban the death penalty again. But I truly think that it needs to be resolved, because the mass murder by the state on this scale on vulnerable and elderly people, simply because they were problematic, is both disgusting, horrifying, morally and ethically wrong, and needs mass social outrage to the point of pitchforks and flaming torches and marching on these people, dragging them out and giving them citizens' justice for the monstrous crimes they have committed and would still commit this day if they felt they could get away with it. Undoubtedly awful people. And you have to ask how anyone currently supporting the SNP can do so. Are they truly supportive of the modern day National Socialist bastards? If yes, then they too are guilty of the same crimes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this. Thank you for allowing me to vent. Please go and look at that Daily Express article, and please realise what a great woman, a heroine, a brave, hard-working soul Leslie Roberts is, because the more comes out, the worse it gets, and it's gone far too far. It cannot stop, and they must not ever get away with it. Thank you very much.